Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Stopping Us, aka the Punchout Bin. It's your boy Lush. I'm here in a flannel shirt that shrunk in the dryer. I'm upset about that.
Funky.
With my fearless co-host, the one, the only, Will Brock.
What's going on, y'all?
Guys, we are in a crazy, crazy time here in 2021. We took a little bit of time off for the holidays, and frankly, we all needed it, let's be honest. So here we are. We're recording this about a week after the Capitol insurrection, which will now be textbook fodder forever. And literally a day after President Donald Trump got impeached for the second time. So tired of winning. That is as far as politics goes on this show.
And
The end. And today, Will, I thought. So here's the thing. I've been sort of like scouring the internet, trying to think about what to talk about for this episode.
Okay.
Just because, I'm trying to see what's popping. And so I had a bunch of things in my list, and you sort of can never go wrong with the classic songstresses.
No.
That we talk about a lot, right? We talked about Whitney, we talked about Aretha, of course. And so one of I think the less sung, not unsung, but less sung heroes of that same era is Gladys Knight and her boys, the Pips.
Yes.
Everybody and their mom knows Midnight Train to Georgia.
Yes.
How many
wedding band song?
How many wedding bands, how many weddings and bar mitzvahs have you been at where people just go, woo, woo? And here's the thing about that song. It is a bona fide hit record.
It's beautiful. It's amazing.
There's nothing about that is not incredible.
Yeah.
It's like one of those songs like September, or those things that
I was thinking the same thing.
They get sort of bastardized because everybody does them.
Right.
But like the original artwork is fantastic.
It's bone chilling. It's amazing.
And so I sort of started to go down this Gladys rabbit hole a little bit, which meant, let me just pop over to the wiki page and see what was happening for this Midnight Train to Georgia tune, which is great. So it's a very interesting thing. So they had been on, Gladys and the Pips had been on Motown for about 6 years. They signed with him in 66.
Mm-hmm.
They left in 72. And Midnight Train, I think, was like Never Can Say Goodbye, which was what I was originally going to play for you today. I did not play that. We'll get to what we played in a second. Never Can Say Goodbye. Neither one of us wants to say goodbye.
Okay.
That was on the last Motown record.
Right.
They had been on the Motown Soul imprint. This is all according to Wikipedia. So some 12-year-old could have put all this up and it could be all wrong. So don't fault me. I'm just reading what Wiki says. They were on the Motown Soul imprint, which is like the stuff that's not going to be released on the pop charts. So they were sort of, back fiddle to Aretha Temptations, that kind of thing.
Right.
So they put out Neither One of Us on Motown, and then decided not to renew the contract and left in 73 to go to Buddha Records.
Mm.
And when they went to Buddha, what I just played you, Where Peaceful Waters Go, or Where Peaceful Waters Flow. And also on that record was Midnight Train.
Wow.
All three of those tunes, Neither One of Us, Peaceful Waters, and Midnight Train, all written by Jim Weatherby. So whoever he is
he matters.
a genius. I also played you the Nitty Gritty,
Oof.
which is a cover. It is a Motown funkyized cover of a tune that was from their earlier time, like when they were still happy with being at Motown.
Right, right.
So that
So was that on Buddha
no,
as well? That's what
that's
I
on
figured.
Motown.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Nitty Gritty is on Motown. Nitty Gritty, funny enough, Nitty Gritty and Neither One of Us, both recorded by the Funk Brothers.
Of course. Yeah.
So that really interesting period of 72 to 73,
Yeah,
there's a lot of funky stuff happening for Gladys and the Pips.
sure. And for everyone, but yeah,
For everyone, for sure. For the
yeah,
purposes of this episode, Gladys and the Pips, that
yes,
72, 73 space is really, really interesting.
sure.
And just spectacular music.
Mm,
I mean the arrangements,
mm.
the vibe. I was gonna originally bring Neither One of Us because I thought I love that song.
Beautiful record.
I love
Yeah.
the vibe of it. There's something about the aesthetic of Gladys and the Pips
Mm.
that is just there's sort of this intangible thing. It's like Gladys and the Pips, where you assume the Pips as a background, like contingent, but
Right,
in real life they're just the second character of this story.
right, right.
And like they do as much to propel the music forward as Gladys's lead vocal in a way.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Yeah,
like we sort of all have a taste of that, and like how they react to what she's singing in Midnight Train. But when you listen to some of these other tunes like Nitty Gritty or Peaceful Waters, I mean they are absolutely setting the table at what she can sit down to eat.
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's all I'm gonna say. So I played these two songs for you, and your face scrunched up immediately.
Ooh,
Tell me about it.
absolutely. Well, the Nitty Gritty record was like the late '60s, early '70s for me is when music happened. That was like the time
Yeah.
for like Sly and the those Temptations records and that music is just like the Isley Brothers records that we played at the beginning of the last episode. Like that was it for music. That was the for me it's the best time in all of music because it was like there was this boogaloo thing happening that was everywhere. And some bands did it really badly. But some, it was the essence and soul of black music. And it was, so that Nitty Gritty record just felt like home to me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'd never heard it before.
That's fun, right?
Yeah. But you heard it in that's that thing.
Totally that. And what's really interesting about the Nitty Gritty record, I know I was going to let you talk, but then I decided I'm not going to. What's really interesting about that, like on second and third listen, is like how odd the arrangement is.
Sure. Go to the four strange places and
even like sonically and like how the band functions, like as funky as that song is, there is not a lot of drum kit.
No.
It's like mostly guitar. The drum set.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like super interesting and different and very like un-Motown.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way to cat,
right.
Dun, 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 dun. Like that's the Motown sound.
Right. This tune is like all interlocking guitar parts.
Yes.
And then other stuff just sort of fills in around that.
Right.
It's
because
like it's a glass jar with the rocks in it. And
exactly.
The are the rocks.
Yes.
And then everything else is the sand.
No, it's crazy because we forget that the musicians that recorded in those Motown records are us. are the local dudes, you know what I mean,
Sure.
in the scene at the time, and they happen to be really good, just like the local dudes in every scene are really good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there was a vibe. There was a vibe that was like, and by that time they had made thousands of records, right?
Right.
They'd made thousands of records and hundreds of hits, right?
Yes.
So they knew what the thing was. So
Right.
even if there was a new guy, he was listening to the old stuff and blah, 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 blah. But like, so that interlocking guitar thing was just two dudes that were like, check this out. And,
right.
and just locked in.
Right.
And it like it's supposed to.
Right. There and like the way that Hitsville worked, because this was recorded at Hitsville.
Yeah.
Like that whole vibe was all about, it's a day gig. Like you
exactly.
And you were talking about changing American culture,
right,
at the water cooler,
all day,
like,
all day.
Like we're here, we're talking about these parts we're gonna do on this break, and then all of a sudden, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, it's climbing up the charts.
Right.
And so much of that stuff became, American folklore.
Absolutely. It was American music. Yeah, it really was. And it's funny that you say that, because it really is interesting that like cats were just going to work. They were just going to work.
Yeah.
And they were making stuff that was like, oh, this is how cats are going to play this music forever. Forever. And like a guy that was going to the office created something that kids are going to study in college 20 years from now, 30 years from now. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's just like Jamerson, for example. Perfect example. Like
for anything.
For anything. I mean, just just his approach to the instrument informed everyone.
This, by the way, this is James Jamerson, electric bassist in the Funk Brothers.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't. Context is lost on me sometimes, but Jamerson, his approach to melody, and not the melody on top, but the melody in the bass line.
Yep.
It was jazz.
Yep.
He was playing funky walking bass lines.
Yes, he was.
That's the that's jazz. That's like the local jazz guy going, okay, I can. All right, well, we just do this now,
right?
Over this funky thing,
right?
And it became the way that we think of bass,
right?
Like completely. So to your point, it was the creation of a whole new music culture in that little office.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. What'd you think of that second tune, Peaceful Waters?
Man, that tune felt like an old glove. It really felt like, oh yeah, these feel great on my hands. This feels great in my, because it was neither one of us. It was that thing.
Yeah.
So at that period, they were making that music. They were making that music, and they tried a bunch of different stuff in the context of that music, and they nailed it beautifully. But as far as they were concerned, I'm just making records.
Yeah.
I'm just making records. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got these songs from these songwriters. There's this band in the room, and we're gonna make a rain. But it was like, that's, again, it was creating the culture.
It's funny, when I'm like listening to stuff, or when I'm writing, a lot of times I think about you, right? 'Cause we've spent a lot of time on bandstands and in rehearsals together.
Yes.
And we tend to react to the same things.
Yes.
In a similar manner.
Sure.
And I remember listening to this tune this morning as I was like prepping for the show today, and there's that point where the Pips do this "come and go with me" or "come
Oh,
with me."
walk with me. Yeah, yeah. It was.
Yeah, I'm looking for the "come and walk with me,
Yes.
and we can go where peaceful waters flow." And they do this thing, and it is like so percussive,
It was tight and
so
yeah.
funky, over like in the midst of this like beautiful meadow.
Sure.
That,
Strings and yeah.
yeah, I mean it's so lush, and then out of that they're just like stabbing you with this. And like the first time you heard it, you did the face crunch. I was like, yep, that's
That's right. Right.
that's where the face crunch goes.
That's where it goes. Because yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, please.
It's like we've talked about it before. It's the juxtaposition of this with this, like those two things together.
Do it again.
So it's the juxtaposition of this, that big, lush, pretty, whatever it is, and then happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that's music.
Yes.
That is music. No matter how you slice it.
For those of you who are listening to this and are not looking, Will's talking about tension and release. But it's way more entertaining to look at him do it. But yeah, I mean, like at its most exciting, any piece of music has tension and release.
Absolutely.
And what's really cool about it, as you continue to listen deeper, it can come in any place. It can
Anywhere.
It can come in tension of the melody. It can come in tension and release of the harmonic structure of the song.
Sure.
It
Sure.
can be something about the time signature. It can be something about the rhythms. It can be something about how instruments play against each other.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, it's so fascinating how many ways you can sort of weave that one idea or that one technique into the music.
Absolutely. Because at its core, I keep saying it is music. For example, like when you have those really funky drums and those really pretty lush strings, you don't think of them as an entity together, but they're in the same record.
Right.
And it feels like it's dragging you along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like yeah, it's or like, you know, I give this example all the time. Ron Carter on Tenor Madness. Sing, dong, ding, 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 forever, 49,000 chords, dun, dun. 50,000 chords, sick it to ohm. That's the, it's like, that's what we enjoy about music. That's what makes us go, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as a writer, as a producer, as an arranger, it is your job, I think, to find that tension and release, to create that tension and release, and to know music so well that you do it without even thinking about it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're good at your job, you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Exactly.
You know, unless there's like a specific reason where you're like, you know what, this needs more of a thing.
Right.
And you could in that moment be like, okay, this needs more tension here, or it needs more something.
Right.
But I think as most sort of real musical decisions, that stuff, that's like sort of cognizant part of it gets pushed to the back.
Sure.
It's just about what makes sense in the moment.
Right. And what makes sense in the moment only makes sense because you've shed.
Right.
You spent the time shedding. You know what I mean? Or practicing.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like you know, yeah, it's your shedding time that makes those decisions. You've made those decisions before you even got this assignment.
Yeah.
You made those decisions when you were 12, listening to the Luther Vandross record. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Or the Michael Jackson record. You've made those decisions already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's real like the. Ugh.
And coming back full circle to the Gladys stuff, I think that is one of the things that makes Gladys and the Pips work,
Yes.
right? The tension and release is between Gladys is sort of floating over the top of things, and then there's like this punctuation from the Pips parts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then like what's really interesting about them, because they had such a range as the Pips, like they could do all these like cool high harmony, like falsetto harmony things, and then like they find themselves often like getting really sweet and lush,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the same time the next line could be like punctuated,
Yeah.
percussive,
Yes.
all those kinds of things that really kind of bring the thing back to Soulsville. If
Exactly.
that,
Exactly. Yeah, you can't say that. Yeah, you're loud.
Another sort of completely different example that I'm thinking about right now is like the stuff that Ray Charles would do with the choirs,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes.
I Can't Stop Loving You.
Ooh.
His version of America the Beautiful, like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it goes back to the same thing. You've got Ray with this like super soulful gut bucket voice, and like even the instrument choices, right? Like
Absolutely.
Wurlitzer or Rhodes or
Yeah.
three organ, and then you have this like Lawrence Welk choir.
Yeah.
And there's like that scene in the movie where the guy that's playing Fathead Newman's like, man, what you doing with these choirs, man? This is some white people stuff, man. Whatever, I forget what the
Yeah. The
lines.
line was. Yeah.
But essentially, he like got on Ray's case about who brought this choir in here, and Ray was
Right.
like, oh well, it was my idea.
Right.
And somehow
It
that
worked
that tableau works so perfectly.
impeccably.
You know what I
Impeccably.
mean? Like there's like a level of hokiness to the choir thing that it's just what it is. It's like a very straight laced choral
Right.
part.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you were to pull up those channels on the mix by themselves, that
Be like,
could be anybody's like choral music on a Sunday morning.
sure.
I mean, but when you put it up against all this other stuff and Ray going, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a whole other thing.
And see, and here's the thing. This is what people don't understand.
Well,
That's-
most understand.
That's what music is supposed to be. Like that is the essence of music. That's the essence of living. That's the essence of culture. Like, because the only reason it's hokey is because we leave it by itself. You know what I mean?
I do.
The only reason it's hokey is because we just have it over there in its space. But if you put it where it belongs, next to soulful, beautiful, whatever, then all of a sudden there's a marriage that changes the world. It's like it's so funny. Like people don't realize that the separateness that we create I'll just say in music, and we're using the microcosm for life.
Sure.
In music, doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not. It's beautiful. It can be beautiful. I don't. That's not fair. It does work, and it can be beautiful. But when we stop and go, I want to take elements of you, and elements of humanity, and put it into this bowl, and not mix it up like a melting pot. Put it in the bowl and let it be what it is. You take a bite, and it will change your life. It will change because it's humanity in that bowl. It's love, it's light, it's beauty, it's art, it's everything that we are in that bowl. But we so rarely get to be in that bowl because we've separated everything out so much. And in reality, we're all just trying to get back to the bowl. And that's, I mean, oh yeah, I could carry this analogy out all the way, but you get my point.
And I'm getting hungry, so
so there's that.
so there's that.
Yeah.
Man, I mean this might be on the shorter side of conversations that we've had, but I think it's a really important one.
I think so too.
And most importantly, people, go listen to Gladys Knight and the Pips. Like, what's wrong with you?
Now.
Why are you listening to us?
Exactly.
Oh, but before you go, I'm a YouTuber now, so I have to say, like the channel, comment, and subscribe and stuff. Again, I don't care. Will's really into it.
I am. I really am. So please like and subscribe.
That's literally how he's powered. Some people eat food.
YouTube.
He reads YouTube analytics. Until we meet again, folks, thank you for checking out this episode of the Punchout Bin. See you soon.